was very serious, and they had 5 different types of gladiators from their different weapons. So they actually really, really like that type of thing. So yeah, now we're going to get into, back to the Republic. So the ancient Rome also transitioned from a monarchy to a republic. Now, the republic is a form of government in which citizens have the power to elect their own leaders. The most important aspect of a republic was the Senate. And the Senate was which 300 members, consisted of 300 members, and they were able to make laws for the citizens. So that was the main thing about the republic. As you can see in this photo, I don't know if it can really shows it here. That's kind of a glare. Okay. But it really kind of just shows the 300 members and shows them just sitting down, obviously just talking about making laws or whatever they're talking about. So now we're just going to talk about Greek and Roman art and just comparing them. So the art of ancient Greek and Romans is called classical art. Romans learned sculptures and paintings largely from Greeks. When the Romans took over Greece, they kind of absorbed their culture and everything with that. The culture consists of paintings and things like that. And the first form of classical art began in Greece. So artists during the time learned how to represent human form naturally. They mostly did sculptures of gods and believed gods can turn to human form. And that's why it was so special. That's why they created so much art about representing gods, because their art, ancient Greek's art, was mainly about gods. So we kind of continue about that. So Greece, the oldest art form was archaic, which is a style developed during this time, and it was a combination of Egyptian and Persian styles. Pots had geometric patterns and designs, and Greek vases were very common. This is just an example of black figures and red figures, which was a very popular technique during ancient Greece, and this just helped demonstrate storytelling. And what the main thing was to tell stories about gods, basically. This is just a story about the sirens and how they would. I think this is in the Odyssey, which was a very popular story. But anyways, Greek vases were very, very, very popular. Archaeologists have found many Greek vases in general around in many, many sites. So we know that this was highly tradable item. So the next person we get in the Greek, the kind of was the Pericles, which he was an Athenian emperor that really helped popularize the arts. He really helped just popularize the arts. Sorry, I get to the page. So he actually just paid artists to build temples and public buildings, and his belief was that if he did this, he was able to make citizens like him more and gain popularity. To have many people come to his to come into the city and to find it appealing. That's what he really, really wanted. So that really did gain popularity. And he was able to create this beautiful building. And this was built to honor the goddess Athena. It was the Parthenon. And it was built on top of it was basically built on top of a pedestal that was made out of rock. I don't think it shows this in this photo, but it was made out of a rock, a pedestal. But anyways, they had a rectangular stone platform and a front-back porches. And this still remains, obviously you see like the Taurus, still remains a really popular landmark. So, and this showed the East Pediment. The pediment was just a design they would do in ancient Greece. They would do designs on top of there, which you saw in this graph. This would be like where the pediment would be. And they had, that went somewhere, where the pediment would be. And so this would be the columns. This is the mento. Mento didn't really have anything, but the triglyphics did have a design on them. So that was just a graph of the Greek building. So with ancient Rome, Greece, like I said, where Greece was later conquered by Rome, their culture was absorbed by ancient Greece. So the earliest form of ancient Greece was the Etruscans, which they knew and learned a lot about the Greek culture. So Roman rulers started recreating thousands of Greek statues. They really were original. They kind of just really copied the Greek culture. Roman rulers started recreating thousands of Greek statues, and wealthy Romans were able to fill their houses with beautiful art. Ruins evacuated from many places demonstrate that Romans decorated everything in their house. As art became more trendy, it lost its spirituality, and they weren't original. The only thing about Romans, and compared to Greece, that they didn't really have creativity. They weren't really able to create their own art. They kind of just copied different styles and recreated a lot of art. So the main difference between Greek and Roman buildings, for one to say, was the Roman buildings were used daily and served multiple purposes. As the Pope de Garde, this was an aqueduct, I don't know if I said that right, but, which were just arched buildings stacked on top of each other. This is the smartest thing I've ever seen in my life, honestly. And that was the main difference between the Greek and Roman buildings. They honestly served purposes during that time. They really did serve many, many purposes. Most buildings were turned into libraries, into malls, into shops, into schools. So they served very, very different purposes, and that was about ancient Greece. While in ancient Greece, they kind of made buildings serving about gods. Their purpose was more on like worship, while ancient Greece served other purposes besides worship. It was just like school and libraries and baths and things like of that sort. So these are just some of the terms from the ancient Greece architecture. So the dome was created, which would create a spacious interior. Ancient Greece didn't really do that. Like I said, most of their buildings were very tiny inside. So the cross vaulette, which connects a series of 3 vaults to form an open rectangular hall, which also makes it spacious, and a barrel vault, which used to support the foundation. So those were just some terms. You can see the dome just creates everything, just makes it so much spacious and beautiful. So mosaic art, which was also a popular art form inside the Roman homes. This was just made of pictures from tiny bits of marble or cement and was placed on the wall or floor. And this was also adopted again by the ancient Greece. And they would actually, or just like wealthy people would pay them to make this and send them to their house or their home. And this consists of mostly mythological scenes and patterns. So the main thing from their buildings was that also ancient Rome actually used concrete. This allowed them to kind of recreate some of the buildings that classical Greece did, but Greece kind of used marble and stuff like that. But they were able to kind of recreate, again, things out of concrete. It's just a mixture of rubble and water. So again, their main focus was just trying to recreate this culture, this type of culture. So again, ancient Rome was not really just original. They lacked in creativity, and so overall, ancient Greece kind of won over that. But overall, they were very similar and very different at the same time. So, and this is my works cited page. So that is